Hey there, welcome to my studio here in New York City. I'm Daniel Norton, and today we're going to talk about colored LEDs. Okay, so the gear for this is going to be pretty simple. I've got 4 of these Nanlite Pavo tubes. These are 10 inchers. I've got some of these little arms from Small Rig. I'm going to use some C-stands as always. And behind me, I've got some Translube from Savage. We're going to use that as our background. I'm going to use these to kind of shoot light through it, and we'll see what we can get there. Again, going to keep it really simple. I do want to replicate effectively kind of a standard portrait, but then I also want to mess around and actually use the color, because that to me is the power of these. All right, so before we get me in, I just wanted to kind of do a quick overview of these. Just to give you a heads up, I'm actually lighting myself with a daylight balance tube right here. I've got one on a loop in the back throwing color, and I got this one in my hand. So essentially you've got a little menu on the back here, which is going to allow you to set various functions of the light, the power, etc. You can leave them plugged into the USB to kind of let them run. That's what I do when I'm live streaming usually. And yeah, they've got a little bit of a magnet on them where you can stick them on walls and stuff, which is convenient. And they also have 1/4-20s in the bottom. So my plan, like I said, is to use those little arms that I have, screw them into here. I'll use C-stands because that's what I have, but you could use any number of things, right? And we're going to kind of mount them partially in a traditional photo way, right? Because I mean, here we go, like a little fill light. But also, like I said, we'll try to do some color, funky stuff like back there. Unlike flash, these are relatively low power though. So we're gonna have to consider our shutter speed and our ISO, and we're not gonna be able to overpower all kinds of light. That's why it's kind of near the end of the day here. I'm not doing it with all this, I'm in a daylight studio. I'm not doing all kinds of light rushing through. That would be a real challenge for these small tubes. But if you can get a place that's relatively dim, you can see the light on me is pretty nice already, and we'll see what we can create as far as a nice portrait of Mia. So enough talking, let's get Mia on the set. Okay, so I have Mia here, looking good. So we're gonna do kind of a cool, essentially a 3-point lighting. We're gonna light the background from behind with Translube, which we've done before. So because we're using diffuse light tubes and it eats a lot of light to do that, we're not gonna get a super stark white like we got when we use the strobes through the Translube, but we'll get kind of this creamy white. And actually I'm gonna use that to my advantage with some color, but we'll deal with that in a second. I've got 2 lights here. One above and one below the camera lens, effectively creating kind of a clamshell light, but also a very forward light. So we're gonna have some shape to her face because she's got a nice shape to her face. We're gonna show the chin, and then we'll have some fill coming in. It won't be like flat, like let's say a ring would be. It'll still have some contrast, and we'll have more control. But it's gonna have that kind of feel. Now, of course, it's gonna get very dark in here in a second. So I'm gonna turn off the lights in here, and then we'll turn these on, and we'll go for it. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a really quick shot. An image here, just to show that we're getting really a dark frame, right? A black frame, obviously. If we get the lights off, you can't see us at all. But let's start with the key light. Okay, so I've just got the one light on right now. You can see me here. This is just one of the Pavo tubes. And again, this is a small one. I have it at full power. It's at 5,000 Kelvin, which is the same color temperature as my camera set on. So we should get, you can actually see, you're looking through my camera now in Capture One, we're getting kind of a clean shot. The background's gone gray because of course it's white-ish, right? And she's further away from the background than she is the foreground. We can even see like a little like ring around her a little bit. You can see the shadow behind her is like directly behind her because my light's not too high. I don't want to create a really steep shadow. So that's gonna create, well, this is actually take an actual photo of this. And so I'm at a 60th of a second, 400 ISO, f4. So we'll take a shot. I may want to adjust this a little bit, but that's where we're at to start with anyways. Yeah, that's actually not too shabby. Okay, we're done. That was easy. We don't need no, this is good, right? This is a good starting point. And what's nice is it creates a nice contrast. Now, we're gonna mess with the shadow under her chin last. We'll do the fill light last because I want to get to the background because I think it's kind of fun. I've taken 2 of the tubes and I've stuck them together to make a longer tube. And then, so effectively we got this kind of strip of light behind her. And these are also set at 5,000 Kelvin, and I've got them turned up all the way. And we're basically gonna now create a glow from the back. This should create a bit of kind of a circle of light that she's gonna be kind of in the center of, and then it's gonna kind of come forward. So it will be, a bit of a vignette, which I like for portraits anyways. That's nice. Yeah, and now we've got this kind of warmish vignette. Now, of course, one way to handle this vignette issue is that if you didn't like that, well, you could use more lights, of course, but one way to kind of make it work if you didn't want the vignette would be to use a longer lens and back up because it would compress the background down as far as what we see. But I kind of like it. I like this kind of feel. I find vignettes often draw you into the subject, so A lot of times people are adding them in post, I'm adding them here. Also, I'll point out one real advantage to using constant light sources is because it's dark in here, we see that her pupil is really small, the opposite of dilated, which I always forget what it's called. And so we're seeing a lot of that brown in her eyes, which is really nice because it matches our nice outfit that we got. Everything looks really nice, pulling it together. And this actually, in and of itself, for a young person, this could actually be really nice. If we wanted to make it a little bit cleaner though, we can add a fill light, which is what I have down here. So basically I've got this light also set at 5,000 Kelvin. And this one is set at about 30%. So I'm actually kind of adjusting this guy a little bit to put it in the right position. It's to make it the same distance roughly as our key light. And we're only at about 30% fill, and we can see, take a shot here. And what's kind of nice is, I mean, that's pretty good, I think, to fill in the shadow. But what's cool about using a constant light is, let me switch over here on capture one again. I'm gonna let you see through my camera. Okay, we can actually come in here, and I've got the thing's got a dimmer on it. So if we just move over into that mode, we can actually turn it up and down, okay? Okay, so you're looking through my camera, and what we can see here is that we can turn it down and make the shadows darker. That gets rid of it altogether, and we can actually bring it up as well. So we can actually just look at our exposure and see where we like it, all the ways up to basically equaling the other light, which is probably too much, I think, for most people. You usually don't want your fill to match your key in this kind of angle because you will risk getting some kind of weird shadows and it looks too lit in a way. So, and not like in a good way. So I'm gonna go down, like I said, probably about 30% was pretty good. I'm literally just gonna eyeball it. The exact percent is gonna matter based on what you like. You know, you're just gonna look at it, bring it down. I typically like to start with none, and then I bring it up, and I'm just clicking it, watching until I get it where I want it. This looks pretty good. We'll take one shot. And this all works out well, right? This looks good, and we're happy, and we're like, oh, look, a picture, pretty picture, right? But I mean, I could really do this with just about anything, right? So what's the point of using these tubes? The color is really what we want to mess with here. So I'm gonna look at this. The first thing you might think when you're using this kind of stuff is, hey, let's just throw, you know, oh, whatever color, purple, pink, whatever. But you can be subtle with this. She's wearing this nice brown outfit. She's got kind of brownish color in her hair. She has brown eyes. We can have like an overall kind of almost monochromatic look by making our background, instead of white or gray as it is, we can make it a little bit warmer. So I'm gonna do that with color temperature. I'm not gonna mess around with the color per se. I'm gonna change the color temperature of the lights. I will leave my camera, of course, set where it is, and I'm going to come over here. I can go into my color temperature, and I'm going to lower it down to 3200, which is tungsten. Now, where exactly you put it is really up to you. The reason why I'm using tungsten here, as far as my balance, is because that's just what I'm familiar with. You know, you can, like I said, set it any color you want. So I'm 5,000 Kelvin at the camera, 3200 in the background. It's going to make the background warm. So we'll see. We'll take a shot here. Now we've got like a kind of a nice warm background. And again, we could do this any way we want. We can also, it might even be fun to make it a little darker because of that, right? So we can play around with it. One final thing I want to do though is, since all of these lights are color changing, we can make the fill light have some warmth to it as well. So again, it's the same tube. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna switch my mode to my color temperature, and I'm just going to, I'm not gonna go all the way to 3200. I'm just gonna drop it down a little bit to warm it up. Just get a little bit of warmness in the shadows. That'll bring up her skin tone. Oops. This is what happens when you put the computer too close to her. She looks at it after each shot. It's bad move for a model. See, and I caught you on video. Yep, see, that's what happens when you get caught. That's the look. All right, so we can see now that we have nice warm shadows. It's not overpowering, it doesn't seem fake. It just has a nice overall warm feel to it. So we can actually shoot some portraits like this. So let's do it. In fact, let's just do just that. Good. Now I'm shooting at a 60th of a second. If I was nervous that she'd move too much, it's pretty easy. I'm only at 400 ISO, so I'm actually gonna change my ISO to 800, which is really clean in this camera, no problem. And I'll bring my shutter up to 125. Because remember, now we're dealing with constant lights, so we're not automatically gonna have a frozen image if the subject's moving. So we wanna be, you can work with the pace of the subject, you wait till they kind of settle into their pose, and then we shoot. So nice and simple, shoot handful like that, really pretty, right? Nice and simple, really pretty. Right, so that's it. Really fun kind of way to do this. Now, of course, there's much more that we can do. So much more. Because we do have all the colors to work with. If we want to get funky, we want to do colored fill or whatever, let's do it. Let's do the background first though. Let's keep the portrait clean and let's change the background color. Now, one kind of funky mode that this has, and actually I'm pretty sure it's on the rubber shows. One funky mode this has, and you've seen Seth use it, is where it will actually change colors like on a loop. And that's kind of fun, so you can have a different background in every frame. I'm not a big fan of having a different background in every frame, but again, that's kind of a fun thing that you could do. I'm just gonna go with the straight up purpley background because I like purple. Yeah. It creates a really kind of fun, you know, lively set. It's like, boom, we've got color like that. It's so easy to just change it up as we go. And of course it could be just about any color we want. And we could even get, what's cool is because you have the numbers, you can set them to be the same. So I could put the front light the same. That's actually at 316. So I'm gonna go here and switch my mode. And I'm gonna bring this down to 316. So I can literally make my fill light the same color as my background. Which is also kind of fun, you know, so we can catch some reflections and stuff. We're just gonna get like little hints of that kind of purpley color right now coming in under her chin and in the background, right? So it's gonna create kind of a fun look. Now, when you are messing with color, it's a good idea to kind of think about your exposure too. Look at it again if you're making any changes to make sure you like the exposure. I mean, I still do, so it's all good. And again, you can go really fun and really funky with this. We could put like a different color on top if we wanted to mess around. This is where you're kind of an experimental phase here, right? We can kind of jump in and do, let's see. Well, the opposite of purple is going to be kind of in like a yellow range. So let me kind of come over here and switch this into the color mode. Oh, blue.
Should I put in my green shirt?
No. You could put it in a green shirt, but not right now.
Okay.
That is a good suggestion. She's got a bright green shirt. Well, now I feel like now that you said it, the audience is going to want to see it. So go ahead, put on the bright green shirt.
Go ahead, okay.
We'll come back. Okay, so since you had to take a minute to put the green shirt out, I decided to change things up. I moved the key light in a lot closer, and I set it at 85%. It's back to kind of the normal color that is. Well, actually, no, it's set at, this one's a little bit on the warm side. Let me go back, actually. This is set at 3,500. I'm gonna switch this one to 5,000, so that's neutral again. I'm not using a fill light at this point. I just wanna get kind of a dramatic light. We've got this intense orange coming from the back, but it's gonna get washed out a bit. Yeah, there we go. It's kind of coming from one side and kind of creating this kind of interesting wash. And then what we're gonna do is, because we can, and I talked about it, and once you talk about something, you have to do it. I'm gonna put on the color loop on this one. So we've got this weird like kind of color changing on her face to see what we can kind of get there. And when we shoot, our shadows, okay, that's too strong, but otherwise good. When we shoot, our shadows are going to be filled in with the color that whatever it's at. So I'm gonna kind of watch it. I'm gonna set this here. I'm looking at her. I was watching it. I want it to fill in, but not much. So I'm gonna, this is only at 30%. We'll put it at 20%. Okay, so here we go. That's actually green, I think. Yeah, so now we've got just a subtle color fill, and we can play with that, right? So work this way. Okay. And the thing is, we can also change the background if we want, right? We can really mix it up. I guess because we're doing this, we gotta do it, right? So what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna take this long strip of light and I'm standing it up vertically now. So since it's losing a lot of color as it washes across anyways, I'm just gonna go intense on one side and let it fall off naturally. And then what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna go neutral. Well, that's interesting. It's too close to the Duratrain, so I'm gonna back it up. Yeah, that looks better. There we go. And then what we can do is we're gonna get this nice kind of intensity of color over here that's gonna drop off to kind of an odd shade over here. And then we've got the natural light on her face and then some fill of a color. So you can really have fun with this. You know, if you're like at at a party or something, and people want to do like a photo booth and they just want to have fun with it. You can totally see this, you know, right? It's very kind of photo boothy, kind of just fun, playing with the different colors. Super fun, really easy. And again, you could mix up the colors however you want. I'll make this a tiny bit more intense. Let's do one more series where you just kind of, let's find a good spot for you. So like right there. And then let's maybe have a few different expressions. You could be based on the color of the light. It's green now, it's blue now. Yellow, oh, right, there we go. Do you know what color the light is when the... Well, you can see how it's just changing. It can just be fun, you know? Right. And then of course, we can make it, if we just want to go subtle, we can make it whatever color we want. And of course, we can always go back to natural. And that's kind of the fun of this. We've got a little shadow there because we just kind of did it quickly, but the fun of this is that we're able to do it so quickly and on the fly. Like you can do all the stuff with gels to a certain extent, but what's cool about this is just the speed of it, right? The speed of light. Oh, I like that. So yeah. It can change with the speed of light. Well, maybe not that fast, but it's changing fast. Yeah. And we can really kind of whip through it if we want. Now the other thing too is because we are getting that shadow there, you know, come stand further from the background. Yeah, come closer to me. So we can eliminate that shadow back there, because what started off as silly now just serious because I'm liking the look, so I have to actually make it work. Right. So again, I'm kind of just bringing this tube in to create kind of a nice angle, and that should help eliminate some of that shadow back there. Yeah, there we go. You can see the fall off. You're still getting a little bit, but that's basically this light essentially. The color light. And it hits the background. There we go, I'm turning it so we don't get it. Now we're getting rich color. Another thing you can do too is if you're unsure what color you want to use, is you could actually do walk through like this. And then when you find one you like, you can stick with it. Just like that. Easy enough to change it up. We definitely don't like the green, I think that's too much. Let me kind of wait for, there we go, that warm color. I think that's kind of nice because it kind of works with the background. It creates kind of an overall vibe, yet still has a clean, you know, natural light. Okay, so typically when you're using colored lights like this, you want to be careful to not put everything lit with the color. If you do, it kind of loses its effect. It just becomes a big mush. So you generally want to have something that's neutral. So like in this one, I've got, you know, the one side of her face is basically neutral. It's getting a little bit of warmth because all the light bouncing around, but for the most part, it's neutral on her face. And then the rest of it has this kind of warm glow, and it just creates kind of an environment of light. Right? You want to look at them?
Do what?
Do you want to look at them?
Yeah.
She's been looking the whole time. That's why she doesn't care. I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna let Mia look at them. Don't trip on the cord. So if you want to look, if you remember, you just kind of push the.
Oh, you really got my eyes in the last one.
Yeah, see that? I got the eyes. It's interesting. I think for kind of a fun experiment, the green is interesting, but typically I don't like green on a skin tone. It doesn't usually look good on people's flesh. The bluish ones look really nice, I think, on you because your contrast of your warm skin.
You said blue?
Yeah, kind of the bluish ones can have a nice look as far as contrast. Or obviously the warm looks the most natural because that's kind of your natural skin tone.
Oh, I'm happy to change.
No.
Happy to change.
She's already got 2 shirts. She's not changing it. All right. So yeah, so you can see just the fun of it.
Oh, that's nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that purple or blue.
Yeah. So again, that's kind of the fun of it, right? We can go through each of the colors, see what we like, and then we can set that one to do some more exposures of that one if we want. So it kind of gives you a good option. And you know, it wasn't, except for the fact that obviously you're not going to be doing like massive amounts of stop motion with this amount of light. You can really do a portrait. I mean, we're fine. 125th of a second is fine for most portraits. She's moving around. It's not really a restrictive thing. But really nice, right? You like that one? Yeah, and then kind of a cleaner to portrait to start. So we've got some options here. And this is just with a small kit. And you know, the 4 small lights fit easily in my backpack. Obviously the stands don't, but you know, you can figure out a way to support them and really be able to travel around with a small kit and do some fun stuff. Overall, what do you think?
Great, it's great. I love the changing colors. The warmth is so beautiful. Gosh, you really just pull it together, Daniel. I don't know how you do it.
She knows how I do it because she watches the video.
This is true.
And then you'll all know how we do it. No, seriously, that's fun stuff. So again, playing with different equipment, different technologies is one of the fun parts about being a photographer.
Thank you so much for watching this video on the RGBW tubes. We hope you enjoyed it, and please feel free to watch any of the videos in these boxes. Ring the bell for notifications, and subscribe to Adorama TV. Thank you.